Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yoshai, Ba'ashem, Harakah, Kudash, double honors unto the apostles and elders, a great millstone of all well, and shalom to the whole full elect. This is Paya Allah, and this is News and Prophecy and News. Update, the date today is the 14th of January 2024, the whole full year of Jacob's Trouble. And basically I got a couple articles as always come with this another as I always do within this installment, this fresh installment I'm bringing you. I got a few articles that basically some pivotal recent events. Right, so the first one I'm gonna start with is this one from the dailymail.co.uk. The headline reads, "Putin doesn't scare me. I'm ready to fight the young Swedes who say they are prepared to take up arms after Minister sparked panic by insisting there could be war in the country for the first time in 210 years. Alright, so Sweden, very, forward, the quote-unquote forward-thinking nation, alright, liberal as well, basically issuing, a warning of war via their leader, one of their leaders, shall I say. So it says, I'm going to jump right into it. It says, young Swedes are prepared to fight if needed following the country's civil defense minister urging people to prepare for war. Sweden has not been involved in hostilities for 210 years, but Carl Oskar Bolin said earlier this week the population should join volunteer defense groups. Alright, and this, even within itself, is like this is, the calm before the storm, the heads up, alright, before a possible draft in Sweden, alright, due to their, moving towards joining NATO, basically, is cool. This is basically stirring up the wars of Trump, the drums of war. All right. So it says he told citizens to ask themselves, "Who are you if war comes?" In a rousing speech, which some have dismissed as scaremongering, as the country prepares to join NATO. Sweden has had partial conscription since 2017 for both men and women. The Mail Online spoke to a group of young people in central Stockholm about the possibility of war with Vladimir Putin's Russia. Alright, so they got a partial conscription. Alright, so let me actually look up this word conscription because I believe it's the same. Alright, so yeah, conscription, basically, a need, a compulsory enrollment of persons to the military, but they got it in a partial sense. So something like this, a heads up being given is basically like as the words escaping me, like heads up, like the later on down the road, it may be forcible where, everyone's going to be conscripted, all able-bodied men. The country is expected to join NATO by the end of July, and the government has pledged to meet the organization's goal of 2% GDP defense spending, which is twice the usual amount. Although the majority dismissed the idea military conflict was around the corner, all said they would be prepared to fight and defend their country if needed. Sandwich shop worker Lucas Stoll, 25, from Stormland, said, "Personally, what the minister said doesn't worry me greatly. I'm not easily scared, and I can't see any immediate threat." Right, that's why you ain't scared, because you can't see no immediate threat. But in reality, when you understand, what role Sweden plays as a proxy alongside Finland and these various different nations, they stand to be, key points of key targets in terms of Russia establishing themselves within, this Third World War. All right. At the same time, I agree that we should be prepared as a country and we don't want to be caught sleeping. But I'm not going to rush out and stock up on tin food and batteries. Right. And a lot of people, that's how they're going to be caught unawares, because seeing this afar off, you can tell that something ain't right. Going back to with when you really like put all these things, the current events or more recent events that's going on alongside the current events, it should raise an eyebrow and make you think, you know what? Worst comes to worst, I need to be prepared for whatever the fallout is. I'm prepared to fight for my country if needed, and even this attitude, that's another point. This attitude is what's going to lead to a lot of people saying, where FEMA at? Like basically turning around and looking to the government for aid, all right? Which ultimately is going to, make it as to where anyone that runs to the government for aid, basically you're right there beckoning and call for whatever they plan to do with you, all right? You have to follow through, right? You went to them for aid. If they turn around and say, look, we're going to give you rations, this, that, and the other, but also we're going to have to put you on a, conscription to fight, basically. You're going to have to go with that, all right? I'm prepared to fight for my country if needed, and although I wasn't conscripted when I was younger, I am ready to do my bit. In Sweden, you can be called up into service until the age of 30, so I have 5 years left, and I am more than willing to protect our people. So it seems like a lottery, like a random lottery from what I'm reading here. All right. But this is the main reason why I'm really reading it, because this is something that ultimately, is a sign of the times, as well as when you deal with Sweden. Sweden's like one of the forerunner nations in terms of Edom. All right. Usually anything they do presents, is like a precursor or like a show of what's to come for other nations, round about. There's some examples like cashless society, the MOTB. All right, those are the two key examples. I can present, and that's something that they want to present to the whole world, the world over. All right. So it says, Putin doesn't scare me, and Ukraine is a different case from Sweden. I can't see Russia attacking us now, as they have too many other things to worry about. All right, so they believe that, that's the security. It doesn't make logical sense, but hey, who knows, man? In a month or two, they could be going into Sweden, all right? Or in a few months, they could be going into Sweden due to X, Y, or Z, all right? Student Sonia Moberg, 19, from Stockholm said, girls can get conscripted as well. And I had my test last year, but I didn't get in on medical reasons, all right? In fairness, giving me a gun is probably not a good idea, but I have lots of girlfriends who were conscripted and they really enjoyed it and really enjoy it. One is a truck driver and she's having a great time. Man, but there's no war, all right? So, the idea that she's kind of presenting is like it'll be fun to drive a truck around and maybe learn to shoot a gun, and it'll kind of be like an adventure going to the woods or traveling to various places on behalf of being part of the military. But we're talking about warfare, all right? Bloody warfare, all right? The good insight to that is all you got to do is jump on these like Sean King, all right? Or go on Twitter and just see all the atrocities and the bloody things that are happening over there in Gaza, man. It's an idea of what real war looks like. So it says, I'm not worried that we will be attacked, but I think it is a good idea to be ready. My father says we should be prepared, and he's probably more concerned than I am, all right? Well, that says a lot. I can't see Russia attacking us militarily because they have another war in Ukraine on their hands, but I can see them maybe going for the infrastructure, power, or the internet. right? Which is, feasible, but at the same time, who's to say they can't put, boots on the ground if it makes sense, all right? If they see that when you see the morale, like this article, for example, the morale of the people and the mindset shows you it's easy pickings, and this, like, what's the word I'm looking for? This garrison that America, NATO is trying to establish isn't as formidable as they would like, as they may like to believe. All right, so they basically could be looking at it like this is a weak spot. All right, let's knock it down, and then from there we move through, and have more power over the NATO organization. Dino Fours 19, who was working in a convenience store, told Mail Online, "I'm not taking it too seriously. I really can't see war happening, but of course I am ready to fight if needed." All right, so this just it seems like if war was to happen, these people would be greatly blindsided, all right, and not ready for, war hardened individuals that are prepared to fight. I am the right age for conscription and the ideal candidate. So see, shows you, they're not really focused on warfare. All right, they're like, ain't gonna happen. But if it does, I'm with it. All right, but this is the attitude. But I haven't been selected yet, although some of my friends have. If I get called up, then so be it. I will happily defend my country, but like I say, I can't see it happening anytime soon. And anyway, they have to get through Finland first. See, that's even another point, right? That they feel like, well, we'll have a heads up, all right? What's to say that they don't, attack Sweden by some other means, or they do a joint strike on Finland and Sweden, all right? Or who's to say they don't go through Sweden to get to Finland, all right? Who knows, man? All right. But I think Putin will be making a big mistake if he does attack Sweden, as we have lots of powerful friends. I can't see us being the next on his list. All right. So, of course, I would be prepared to fight for my Carpenter. Jung Erickson 27 said, "Of course, I would be prepared to fight for my country. Why wouldn't I?" All right. So, from the looks of it, you have a lot of people prepared to fight. All right. But a lot of them, I mean, only so much. So let me read some scriptures to back this up. Okay. This is the book of Revelations 11 and 14, which reads, "The second woe is past." All right, when you go into the book of Revelations, the same book, Revelation 8 and 13, it speaks of an angel declaring three woes. All right, and those three woes represent the three world wars. All right, now when you deal with it, on the left-hand side, you have a declaration being made. It escapes me right now. By one of the key Masons that basically spoke about having three world wars and to what avail they are for. They stand to benefit the powers that be to establish a new form of rule. All right. And that's in line with this, but more so than anything, that's only being established because what the Heavenly Father declared it. All right. So the second world being the Second World War. All right, that happened between 1939 to 1945. Sorry. So it says the second world is past, and behold, the third world cometh quickly. All right. So someone might say, "Oh, it says it comes quickly. Why didn't it happen like 4 years afterwards?" Well, you gotta understand that quickly, we're dealing with the Heavenly Father's time scale. All right. 1,000 years down here is one day in the spiritual world. All right, where the Heavenly Father dwells. So something like an hour can fly by within the span of about 40 years or so. All right. So quickly, if we're talking about the third world war happened, finished in 1945, if it was to break out right now, that would be, only an hour and a bit. Okay. in a matter of, some minutes. So anyway, so I'll read again. The second war was past, and behold, the third war cometh quickly. So what we're seeing is the product of that second war coming quickly. All right. So let me read this to show that these things that are happening, are key in terms of prophecies is to come, prophetic words to come. So let's read this. It's the book of 2nd Esdras 16:24. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? All right. So basically, you're gonna have the earth just fall into a state of not degradation as such, but just no one left to basically tend to, the medial tasks, right, in terms of keeping the landscape and trim and proper and all that type of stuff. All right. Verse 26: the grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all the places shall be desolate of men. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. Yeah, so you're basically going to have it where the hustle and bustle of the city, as it tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, about the grinding, then shall the grinding cease, right, and be two to a mill. I forget how it's worded, but basically saying that the world as you know it, all the hustle and bustle will be gone because there will be barely anyone left in the streets. All right, for of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rock. All right, so a lot of people going out to hiding due to all of the atrocities that's going to be committed in the land. All right, and this is first and foremost talking about the land of America. All right, more so than anything. As in an orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. So you have, and that's the other reason why people are going to be hiding. Why? Because there's going to be people going around. And they showed you in the movie Contagion, basically going from place to place in search for, victuals and things of value that will keep them able to continue. All right. Verse 32, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel there through. The virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars, and this being the point, verse 34, in the wars, all right, shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. All right, so these are the events that are going to unfold right now in the time that we're presently in. All right, we're seeing them culminate and manifest. They're going to manifest bit by bit. So I'll read this last one, all right, because this is what is happening. Joel 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. What did the civil defense minister say in an article I just read? He said, young Swedes are prepared to fight if needed, following the country's civil defense minister urging people to prepare for war. All right, you had the Chinese, which I'm going to read it in a second, but you had Xi Jinping, all right, the Chinese leader, all right, basically saying that, listen, if Taiwan don't get with the program, we're gonna make them part of China once again. So this is that time, all right. Warfare is being declared upon the earth. US and UK just had a joint strike done on the Houthis over there, and the Red Sea over there in the Middle East. Everything is about the war's the drum of war presently. All right, so it says, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong, assemble yourselves together, come all ye heathen and gather yourselves together round about. That's all I'm going to read on that, but you know the point, you can read on the rest. So let's jump to the next one. This is from France24.com. The headline reads, Taiwan's Lei Xing-ti wins presidential vote, vows to defend island from China threats. Taiwan's ruling party, the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, secured a historic third term on Saturday as Vice President Lei Ching-ti won the country's widely watched presidential election with 40.05% of the vote. All right. So it says, Lei, along with his running mate, Haseyo B. Kim, Taiwan's former representative to the United States, won a total of more than 5.5 million votes. Taiwan's electoral system is based on first past the post voting, awarding the victory to the presidential VP pairing with the highest percentage of votes. Turnout of the self-ruled island was put at more than 70%, and some 19.5 million Taiwanese eligible to vote. A favorite to succeed incumbent President Tsai Ing-wen, who is due to step down at the end of her second consecutive term in May. Lei's win was in line with the previous forecast. Lei ran against the main opposition's parties, the Kuomintang candidate Hu Yi-ai, who came in a close second with 33.5% of the vote, and the Taiwan People's Party's Ko Wen-ji, who trailed both candidates with only 26.5%. Speaking as the last results trickled in, Lei told a press conference that the election was a victory for Taiwan's democracy. All right, so let me jump a little bit down. I missed that paragraph. In an election framed as a choice between peace and war by China, which deems the DPP's governance as incompatible with the cross-strait peace. Lei's victory comes at a crucial moment amid rising tensions between Taipei and Beijing. Claiming the island as part of its territory, Beijing responded to the election results by saying that reunification with Taiwan is still inevitable, which was said from the beginning, man. That word inevitable has a lot of energy behind it. The first thing that comes to mind is Agent Smith in the movie The Matrix. All right, that was his what's the word I'm looking for, man? That was his trademark, for lack of a better word. His trademark was the inevitability of any scenario and any situation. All right. And I mean, to some point, he was right when you see it throughout the whole series, but it didn't, benefit him as he would have believed. Just as this whole scenario, all right, to some stances, an inevitable matter because it's gonna bring the nation of China to blows with a proxy of America. All right. The vote will not impede the inevitable trend of China's reunification. Beijing's Taiwan Affairs Office spokesperson Chen Binhu said in a statement carried by the state news agency Xinhua. President Joe Biden reiterated that the U.S. is not supporting Taiwan's independence after Taiwanese voters rebuffed China and gave the ruling party a third presidential term. So yeah, that's really the point. So this is really, something that was declared as of the turn of the year. All right. Going from 2023 to 2024, that basically Xi Jinping say that it'd be inevitable for the reunification of the island to the nation of China. All right, but this is something that's basically set a hedge in a way. But if anything, it's gonna you know irritate the relationships between the two, and just more signs of the times. All right. So it's a book of Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. So I'm going to jump down to verse 8. It says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace, as was said in an article. All right. That vote that was made was basically touted as a vote for war, a vote for peace. All right. So let's jump to this in the book of Matthew 24. So it's Matthew 24:4. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. Right. And that's what you have in right now. First and foremost, it tells you, Paul spoke about, many a millennia ago, about Satan is changing to an agent of light. All right, basically with the image of Cesare Borgia as that of being Jesus Christ, as it's called, is basically part of that deception. All right, for many shall come my name, saying I am the anointed, and should deceive many. But more so, that's part of what's going to happen in these days. They have a thing known as Project Bluebeam, all right, where they want to present, quote unquote, Jesus Christ before the people, all right, for them to basically go in accordance with whatever ideals being presented to the masses, all right? And ye shall hear of wars. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right, so we're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. Be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There should be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so all this we're seeing is the culmination that's going to lead up to, the hour of temptation, the time of Jacob's trouble. All right, so these events are just further showing of the time that we're in. All right. So I finish with this one. It's Habakkuk 2:1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say to me, unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. For the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run the reader fit right. So it's basically talking about the prophecies. All right, the Bible, and the prophetic things written in it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. All right, so that's why you have to be, sober and vigilant in terms of measuring the times with what is happening in the news. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but the end is, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come. It will not tarry. All right. So let me read this last article here. Right here. This is big news right now. So this is from AlJazeera.com, and the headline reads, US and UK launch strikes against Yemen. Houthi rebels promise to retaliate. Houthis say all US and British interests are now legitimate targets. Wow. All right. So it says the United States and Britain have launched military strikes in Yemen in response to Houthi rebel attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, raising fears of an escalation of conflict in the region. All right. So these are key trade routes. All right, and there's a lot of key resources that go through that area of the Red Sea. All right. So basically, this can bring about more shortages with food, with certain resources, and just more despair that be felt on the shores of the United States and Britain. All right. Hours after the attacks early on Friday, which the rebels said killed 5 people, the Houthis warned that all US and British assets have now become legitimate targets. US President Joe Biden had the strikes followed unprecedented attacks by the Houthis on commercial ships in the Red Sea and warned he would not hesitate to take further action if necessary. These targeted strikes are a clear message to the United States and to our partners, and our partners will not tolerate attacks on our personnel, should I say, or allow hostile actors to imperil freedom of navigation, Biden said of the attacks by the air and sea. The attack struck nearly 30 locations in Yemen, using more than 150 munitions. U.S. Lieutenant General Douglas Sims, the director of the Joint Staff, said late on Friday he did not expect a higher number of casualties as the targets included those in rural areas, but he said Washington expected the Houthis to attempt to retaliate. In a statement, the Houthi Supreme Political Council threatened that all American British interests have become legitimate targets for the Yemeni armed forces in response to their direct and declared aggression against the Republic of Yemen. Earlier, the Houthis called the strikes on Yemen barbaric, threatened retaliation, and also said they will continue targeting ships heading towards Israel for as long as the war on Gaza continues. The American and British enemy bears full responsibility for its criminal aggression against our Yemeni people, and it will not go unanswered and unpunished, Yahya Saree, the group's military spokesman, said. Yemen's Saudi-backed, internationally recognized government, however, blamed the Houthis for the UK and US strikes on the country, saying the rebels bore responsibility for dragging Yemen into an arena of military confrontation with the attacks in the Red Sea. Pentagon spokesperson Pat Ryder told Al Jazeera that the US military is closely monitoring the situation and hasn't seen any retaliatory attacks from the Houthis so far. Our goal here is to ensure this vital waterway, the Red Sea, is safe and secure from international shipping and mariners, he said. Alright, so boom, you get the idea, man. War's kicking off, man. It's on top right now. The UK and the US did a joint, military strike on, the Yemeni rebels, but this is just their proxy of Iran. Alright. There's more signs of the times in dealing with world war. Alright. Let's go here. Alright. I've read most of I'll just close it out on this one. Alright, because you see the UK and US working together to destroy against the Houthis. So let me read this, alright? So, Revelation 17:9. And there is a mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. Right, the 7 heads, the 7 mountains. 7 mountains represent governments, and those 7 mountains are basically the NATO, alright, nations. I forget them verbatim, but Britain, Portugal, Spain. I forget right now. Excuse me. I gotta brush up on that, man. But yeah, it's the 7. It's dealing with the 7 heads being that of the original nations that were part of NATO. All right, verse 10. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must. Oh, sorry, I've read it wrong. All right. I'm gonna brush up on this and come back with a breakdown, because yeah, I ain't touched this in a minute. Verse 10. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. All right. This will. Yeah, I gotta brush up on this one. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7 that goeth into position. Right, so the 7 is, Britain, and the one that cometh, which cometh of the 7th, is America, Babylon the Great. All right, verse 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, talking about EU, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Right, because only really America has dominion, but they have power, they have jurisdiction within that power, all right, as a king, but not as, to the same, to the same degree. Verse 13, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Right, so they're basically in tune with whatever the beast wants to do, they're down with it. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Right. So the Lamb is talking about the Lord Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, or Jesus. Right. When he comes and cracks the clouds and basically dispels everything that is believed of him, right, in the white image, and present himself according to how he's described in the word, being a so-called black man with white woolly hair. All right. He's basically going to make war with these powers that be. For he is a Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and are chosen, and faithful, all right, being a day of the elect, all right. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, all right. That's being the point. 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right, so you're gonna see that, as it said, that the Most High has given to them one mind to agree with the beast. There's gonna come a moment where that's gonna turn upon his head, and they're gonna be against the beast. All right, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right, so they're gonna actually wind up Britain. You see how Britain and America attack the Houthis? What's gonna happen is you're gonna have all the EU nations. NATO and the EU nations are going to side with Russia, all right? Depending on what it is they're going to do, where it's going to be something as to where the tide is going to change, and they're not going to be down with America, and going to be, let's expel all of our, nuclear warheads upon that nation, all right? Verse 17, for the Most High have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. So that's where it is. But this right now, you see, they're moving together. But, at some point, they're going to, clash. But these things that are happening, they're galvanizing the people right within the Middle East. There's another precept I could read, but I'm a bit rusty on it, so I need to go over it. But yeah, with that, man, I pray you're edified to the next one. Say shalom, shalom.